What's up, fellers? This is Badass Reviewer, and today I'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Ant-Man Series Ultron Build-A-Figure. That was quite a mouthful. So, just got this a couple days ago. I just haven't gotten around to reviewing everyone. I reviewed the Ant-Man already, so check that out if you haven't. Pretty awesome figure. I'm also going to have a video coming up of how to fix the mask so that way it looks more movie accurate. But pretty cool figure. He's not the most stellar Build-A-Figure, especially since we're just coming off the Hulkbuster wave Build-A-Figure. But he is pretty cool. There's just some slight problems with this guy that I think everyone would probably agree with. It's not terrible, but definitely I think they should have not cut so many corners, and I could probably understand because of cost related issues, but even then I feel like it wouldn't have cost too much to fix some of these things. But pretty cool figure. I mean, I do like him. I like him a little bit more than I thought I did, and I think it's definitely cool to add him to your Ultron collection, just to have like a movie looking one, and quite nice detail. We'll start with the head. The head's okay. I'm not the biggest fan of how Ultron looked, at least his face in the movie. I mean, he did kind of look comic accurate only when he was like really angry, but for the most part I didn't really like that he had like facial features and that he could smile and all that. It was really weird. It seemed really out of character for Ultron, because Ultron seems like a very cold, calculated person, pretty much like a Terminator would be. So I might at some point buy another head and modify it to kind of, I might Dremel out the mouth and make it look more like the comic Ultron. But for the most part on this here, it looks pretty good. There's some nice detail, you know, sculpt work going in the mouth area and around his nose. It's not very painted. It's mostly just a silver gray, or just silver. I don't know if that's a separate color, but it's pretty much just molded plastic. And then on the inner part of his cheeks here, it's black. So it kind of gives him that look that his mouth is you know, open, but I mean from the front you can tell that it's closed. So there's that. The sculpt otherwise is okay. I wish there was a little bit more detail, but I guess for the most part it's alright. The eyes, they look kind of funky, and I've heard a lot of people complain about this. It just kind of looks like he's wearing mascara, which I kind of agree. His eyes are painted orange, and then he's got like a yellow pupil, which is kind of hard, and yeah, if you can see it right there, it looks kind of weird. So I think I'm probably going to paint the eyes red, and then, well, probably paint them over black and then add red to it, and I think that would look a little bit cooler. But it's not too bad, but I don't know, I just didn't like the way his face looked in the movie, so that was kind of disappointing. But so there's that. We'll leave the head off. There's some nice detail going on throughout pretty much the whole body. His body is nicely sculpted, I have to give him that. Very nice detail up in the front. He's got some sculpting lines going on the neck and on the back of the neck. We'll take a look at the back here. Very nice. It's got a nice little spine here, although this is where I think the problem is with this figure, is that he just doesn't have any paint shading or detailing, especially on the back. As you can tell on the front, he's got this like metallic looking gray and silver on the front, but on the back it's just like gray. It's just molded plastic. Like, they didn't bother painting the back or anything. So I think that's kind of lame. I definitely think this figure would benefit more if it had like an entire metallic looking body. So I think it definitely suffers from that. But detail, like sculpting wise, it's pretty good. It looks pretty accurate to the movie. He's got some very nice sculpting going on to the sides where his ribs are. His chest area is very nice looking. The arms and shoulders, also very cool. It's very weird looking at his arms. They just like look like weird swirls to me from the front, but they do look pretty cool. And again, they didn't paint it on the back, so it's just like flat gray, silver, or just flat gray. I keep saying silver, I don't know why. But like detail wise, it's good, but the paint, it's crap. So it's really unfortunate. And they didn't like, this isn't what, it makes no sense, because the bicep is got that silver metallic look, but then his arms are just flat. And I actually kind of painted this arm like with some black just to spice it up a little bit. So I don't know if I'm going to do that on the rest of his body. I just kind of painted a little bit of black, dry brushing kind of, which doesn't really like, it doesn't look the best, but I think it looks a little bit better than this like plain plastic silver. So I might end up doing that, or might just take this paint off. I don't know yet. I'll decide later. But where's his head at? Here it is. So yeah. But other than that, it's pretty nice. He's got two open hands, booby grabbing hands, which kind of sucks. I wish he would have came with like a fist or something, but I guess this is okay. It doesn't bother me too much. The bottom area is also very nicely detailed, and it continues down to the lower torso area, but it's going to look kind of funky when you turn his waist, obviously, because there's no way to really make that look aesthetic without making it connected pieces and stuff. And then there's another problem with the paint is they didn't paint this part down here the same kind up here, so it's not metallic looking, it's just kind of a plain looking gray, and that carries down into the upper part of the hips here, and then from the thighs down it's all metallic gray. So it just looks funky because it's so inconsistent with paint, and it just makes it look kind of crappy. So unless you can get some paint to match this and paint that up, it's gonna look kind of weird. But the legs, they look pretty good. They got this little hole sculpted in here so you can like see the inner part of the thigh, so when that moves, so that's cool, I guess. And if you're wondering, the thighs on this guy are not going to be as loose as mine. I actually modified mine so that way his legs go good. Ugh, excuse me, I can't talk. His legs can go out a little bit farther because I just popped them off the hip, which I saw a person take an X-Acto knife and cut the inside of the thigh here, but it's actually a lot easier if you just turn his leg like this and then pop it off. So you can do that. And I just dremeled out up to his thigh here, or I dremeled out the piece of his thigh here so his leg could go out a little bit easier. And then when you want to put it back in, it just pops it back in. But if you're gonna do that, be aware that his legs are probably going to be a little bit loose. I don't know if there's a way to make it not so loose, but maybe sticking some like super glue in there and then sticking the joint in there and just kind of moving around so it kind of stays on a little bit. But he doesn't have a problem standing. I can stand him pretty good, especially with his ankle pivot, so that's good. But yeah, so the rest of his legs look pretty nice. I think there probably should have been a little bit of red going on down here. Oh, and then they didn't do it on his foot either. His foot's just kind of a plain, the same molded gray plastic, so there's that too. But anyways, that's detailing wise. I think it's definitely got the sculpt. They just need to paint it, like paint it good. They should have just done it completely like this, and that I would have been fine. I don't even care if they had to make some of the other character or the other figures crappy, but they definitely could have done better on this, especially for the Build-A-Figure. But in terms of articulation, he's got a ball peg and a swivel, so his head can look up pretty high and he can look down all the way, rotates 360 degrees, and he can kind of get some side to side movement from that. His arms can go in and out, rotate 360 degrees. He's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, a hinge in the wrist, as well as a swivel. He's got an ab crunch, which goes forward 1 and 2 back, maybe 3. So he looks like that, which looks kind of funky, but I don't really think it's necessary to move him back that far, especially since this is not sculpted up here. So really that's probably good enough, and really I don't even see the point of him going back too much except for a flying pose. He's got a waist swivel, which is ratcheted, so it won't like flop around or anything. His legs can go forward just about that much, unfortunately, due to the sculpt. And then I think before his legs would go out about this far, but now that I've modified it, he can go out about this far. He rotates at the upper part of the thigh. He has double jointed knees, a hinge in the foot, and an ankle pivot. So overall, very nice articulation and sculpt. Like I said, just needs to be better paint. Here's some size comparisons. Here he is next to the Marvel Select Ultron, which he is definitely taller than, probably by a good inch. Here he is next to the standard Bucky Cap mold, so he pretty much towers over them. And then here he is with the new sculpt, which is on the Grim Reaper, which he comes up to about his chest. And then here is the Hyperion mold, or whatever mold you want to call this. We'll just call it the Hyperion. If it weren't for the fin, it'd probably come up to his chest too. So yeah, he's pretty tall. I wasn't expecting him to be that big, and definitely when I heard that he was going to be the Build-A-Figure for this wave, I was thinking, how can they possibly make this guy a Build-A-Figure when he's not going to be that big? But I was completely wrong. After seeing the movie, I was like, man, he towers over them, and he towers over all these figures too. So anyways, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more figure reviews coming out of this wave, and check out my other previous Build-A-Figure waves and stuff like that. And I'll talk to you later.